Hi there. Welcome to Big Sexy Chat. My name's Crystal.
My name's Merf.
Hi, Merf.
Hi, Crystal.
So happy to see you. It was weird skipping a week. I missed you. I missed everybody.
Right? I know that 3-day weekend came out of nowhere.
No kidding. I'm happy to be back here. Good Lord knows I need the community right now, and I need the love. I think we all do. The world is on fucking fire.
Yeah.
I
It's
know
disgusting.
It is. I know we try to keep our episodes more evergreen, but what we're talking about, in case you listen to this in a year or two, is that we just come off a massacre of Black people in Buffalo, New York, a massacre of little kids in Texas, a massacre or a murder at a hospital from a guy who was mad at his surgeon about his back surgery. It goes on and on. It's just been a nightmare. And then the pandemic. We're what do you call it? It's surging here again in the Bay Area. Good times.
Yeah. We're entering another wave here in California of the pandemic.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it really is so heavy. It just feels like there is very little that can be done to provide relief right now.
It doesn't feel like there's any relief, no. And I wanted to mention too, in case you're new and listening to us, we tend to have a format where we talk about current events. Usually they're about fat politics, but these last 2 or 3 weeks have been just a hot mess. And then usually we talk about the topic of the week, and then we bring in the questions from our listeners. If you ever have any input or questions, sexy at BigSexyChat.com. And then we talk about the toy, the vibe of the week. And we're going to do all that, but we're going to talk about the questions that came in before we talk about the topic. But anyway, we're talking about current events right now. And you said something earlier about, just wonder what people are doing to take care of themselves right now.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do, right? Mm-hmm. We really focus as a culture on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And we don't really take the time to stop and process. Yeah. And I think that's where the change lies, is in the processing. And it's the next thing and the next thing to go on to. It's like we had the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial as like a distraction. That's over, so it's like we're right back to the thick of, the next mass shooting. And it just feels like there's never going to be a cease of any of this. Like it's never going to end. And I've had a lot of people just really struggling right now with, in therapy, just saying, I can't turn anything off in my brain because it's just always there, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it be, I don't watch the news. Well, guess what? Your friends are talking about it.
Can't miss it.
Or I don't participate in politics. Well, guess what? That's the only way you're going to see change.
Nice fucking privilege you have, by the way.
Exactly. And so I think there's just this, instead of the processing, there's just this head in the sand mentality of like, no, I'm not listening, la, 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 hands over the ears kind of thing. And we're not getting anywhere with it.
No,
and in the meantime, we're just watching massacre after massacre. And, I'm sick and tired of hearing the same stuff. It's literally like the exact same quotes over and over again. And it's just, it drives me insane. It drives me insane, Crystal. I really struggle with it.
I'm struggling too.
Good coping skills, and I really struggle with it.
Yeah. I feel like I have good coping skills too, just because, I've been through some shit and, trauma makes you stronger, unfortunately, or fortunately, but I'm struggling too. And I always wonder, like, I'm well medicated. I'm pretty well adjusted. I can't imagine if you're not, how fucked up this all is. And I know everybody's saying the same shit. We thought after Sandy Hook and all those little kids got killed, that would be big change, and there wasn't. And so people say, well, this feels like a reckoning, kind of like the George Floyd reckoning. I'm like, that gun lobby, they're strong.
Yeah.
They have a lot of money. And I know it's more than just guns, right? We've talked about this before.
Right.
Right? People who are young people, I think you were saying it kind of a lot of things develop in a human when they're the age 0 to 5.
Yeah.
And you learn, how much you're going to be loved and how much hugging and all. I know it's a whole fucking mess of issues, not just mental health and not just guns.
Right.
But it's both a lot of those two things.
Yeah. And I go back to Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book. God, I can't remember which one. It'll be in the notes because I'll find out by then. But he talks about suicide. And he talks about how people back in the day would put their heads in the oven. And once they figured out how to do that and change it so that people couldn't kill themselves by doing that, suicides drastically dropped. And he goes, now, what would you think? Everybody says correlation is causation, right? Well, not always, but sometimes if you remove the means in which someone has, they'll think differently later. And so I'm not going to impulsively do this horrible thing, like kill myself, because you've taken away the means. Well, if we adapted that, right, to say, I don't know, automatic assault weapons, and people didn't have the ability to just do it impulsively, I wonder if we'd have a change in scenario.
I would really love to see that people have to wait 30 days to buy and to be able to take home any kind of gun.
Yeah.
I think you should be 21. I don't have the answers. I know you don't either.
Right.
All we can do is take care of ourselves and how we react to it, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. And I think that's where our control, that's where we start to feel like we have control over the situation.
Yeah.
When we can, okay, I can't maybe control what the legislator's doing or whatever this is doing, but I can impact my local government. I can start making change at that level. I can start to advocate and donate to things that are outside of the gun lobby. I can, there's things that you can do. But I think part of that, getting to that point where you feel like you can then have action, you have to be taking care of yourself and getting to the point where you feel like you have the motivation and the energy to do those things.
Yeah, very true. All important.
That's different for everybody. I'd say for me, one of my favorite things to do is to paint. Like I'm not good at it. I'd love to say that I'm some great artist or something. I'm not at all. I'm like a stick figure person, but if you give me directions, I can do fairly well. But it's stopping the world from going on around me, and I have to focus on this one little thing, and it turns my brain off. Yeah. And it makes a big difference. And so, I think finding the little things that you enjoy doing and spending some extra time donating your time to doing them and carving out that time makes a really big difference in how you feel like you can approach the shit show that is the world right now.
You feel like you have a little more control.
Yeah.
Because I feel very helpless when it comes to this issue. And I feel helpless around the abortion stuff too. But I feel like there's ways where I can affect change. But this mental health gun stuff, I don't know. But anyway, I loved your idea. Like, what are you doing to take care of yourself? And you know what I did? I have a new app on my phone to help me meditate, even just 1 minute meditations. I just put it on my phone yesterday because I have monkey brain like everybody else. I watch too much news, although over Memorial Day weekend, I made it really a concerted effort not to watch and listen to too much of it because I drive myself nuts with it. And it's the same shit over and over and over. But this app is going to help me at least do 1 minute meditations just to get me out of my monkey brain, see if I can just change gears and relax my brain a little bit because it's a bit overwhelming the last year. Ever since the Buffalo massacre.
Yeah.
I've been really down.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think having something that reminds you, that triggers you, that, that extra push right now is really helpful. So apps are a wonderful option to have a moment of calm, a moment of meditation, just getting outside of your brain. I mean, at this point in time, when I talk to patients, I'm really encouraging them to utilize whatever coping skills feel best for them that isn't going to harm them or someone else. Yeah. And there's really no judgment. And that's kind of what we're talking about today is judgment. And then what leads to that is shame and guilt. So
yeah, so let's switch gears. Let's talk about we had a question from a listener.
yes.
And I think we had a couple, right? Didn't we have another one? I think we had two or three.
This is the one that I felt like, ooh, that's a really, I'm sure a lot
Good
of
one.
people are experiencing this right now.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so it is. As a fat woman, I feel like on dating apps, I tend to only upload photos I find flattering, just headshots or old full body pictures. When it gets time to meet up with the date, I always back out because I feel like I've catfished them in some way. Do I need to disclose that I'm fat on dating apps? That's the question.
What do you have? Do you have any feelings about this, Merf?
Oh, I have so many feelings about this.
I had a feeling. Me too.
I think, well, first of all, okay, using old pictures of yourself, yeah, you're catfishing somebody for sure.
Bad idea.
That absolutely is true. And then why do you have a problem talking about your weight or that you're fat? That's the next question is, what about you makes you think that somebody's not going to like you? You know, what is happening in your life that makes you think that somebody's not going to find you attractive or sexy or whatever just because you're a person of size?
What does my grandma say? There's a lid for every pot.
Exactly. Say it again.
There's a lid for every pot.
That's what Sydney said, right? Your grandma says that to her?
Yep.
So I think that's exactly it, right? There's so much that needs to be unpacked here. Let's talk first about dating and some of the shame that we deal with fat people in terms of just admitting that you're fat or talking about the word fat. Just what comes to mind in terms of shame and guilt around that?
Some people, Merv, have to come out as fat. Just as if somebody would come out as queer or gay or trans, they also have to be ready to come out as a fat person and just start identifying themselves and see no insult in that, right? It's not an insult. It's just how my fucking body is. I have brown hair. I'm fat. I have green eyes. I'm fat. That's for me, that was a big part of it.
Yeah.
No shame.
Yeah, I think the shame comes from, so shame is basically a violation of a social norm. And so if you think of shame in those terms, you're violating a social norm. So this is something that society has set up as an expectation for you to meet a certain standard. That's where the shame lies, right? So when we're talking about how you feel like you can present yourself to the outside world, how you can approach other people or address a situation, shame is underlying all of those decisions. Now, in what I've been, looking at and just kind of what's the difference between shame and guilt and why are those two things, what is it? So shame is really that we're viewing ourselves in a bad light.
Yeah.
Where guilt is we're viewing the action of what has happened in a bad light.
What was that sound? Did you hear that?
It was probably my chair.
Okay. I heard a gong.
I don't know. My husband's watching the finals right now. He's
Warriors
fan.
Yeah.
So he's it could be the gong that they use on the bell.
Well, Ashley has something to say. Yeah, we'll start there. Yeah. So start by the difference between guilt and shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I'll start with guilt and shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the research that I've been doing about guilt and shame, and I do this, for therapy, I do this for a lot of other stuff too, but with shame, we view ourselves in a bad light. So in this context, you're internalizing the message, where with guilt, you are viewing the action of what has happened in the bad light. So that could be like if somebody was spent all night drinking, and then got late to work or whatever. they're going to blame it on the action. So I feel guilty about that I drank so much and blah, blah, blah. And that's like my choice rather than internalizing, where the internalization comes later of, I'm going to lose my job because I've made these choices. I'm such a terrible person. That's where it feeds all that internal feeling. So when we're talking about how she's perceiving herself and going out into the dating world, you know, these are internalized thoughts and feelings that society has given her.
Right.
So we're talking diet culture.
Yeah.
We're talking body positivity, body negativity, body neutrality.
Neutrality. And we're talking about the Western beauty standard, which is blonde and white and blue-eyed and tiny feet and big boobs.
Right? Big hips, little waist.
Big booty, little waist. Yeah.
Yeah. So those messages and all those things that you see out in society,
in the world,
when you don't feel like you're meeting those expectations, you internalize that and it becomes shame.
Yeah. I don't have any of that. I don't have a lot of shame myself. I do have guilt sometimes, but I don't really feel, one of my friends has a ton of shame all the time. And I'm like, girl, let it go. I find, for me, I'm just trying to think, how did I get out of that internalized fat phobia? I started educating myself about the Western beauty ideal. And then I look at all the things that I think are beautiful. And that's like 1% of what I think is beautiful is the Western beauty ideal. So then I try to find beauty in everything. And then I started to realize the only reason I feel this is because of capitalism and like consumerism and the media. And I just decided I'm going to stop buying what the media is selling. Because look at all these other things that I think are beautiful. So maybe other people are like me and they go, this is all beautiful. All these different bodies, all these different colors, all these ages. And that's kind of how I helped me to get myself out of that thing where I was like, I don't want to go because I'm going to be the fattest one there or whatever, you know. And I guess I started educating myself about all the beauty there is in the world and all the different body types and all the, just, I was like, God, like when I look at 100 men, I'm straight. When I look at 100 men, I'm not attracted to all of them. So why would I be upset if they look at me and they're not all attracted to me? I don't care. You're not my type either, dude. You know? So
right.
I just started telling myself that a lot. I'm not going to worry about that stupid ideal anymore.
Yeah, I think the way I really kind of started to step out of fat phobia was I started to surround myself, very similar to what you said, with different ideals of beauty and things that made me uncomfortable. I would follow those people on Instagram.
Smart.
Because it's not them that's making me uncomfortable. It's my own internal thoughts and feelings about what I perceive as, you know, or what I've been told to perceive as being. I don't know her name, but the lady, the lady who has the beard.
Oh yeah. Bear. I know who you're talking about. Badass.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
I love her content and she's gorgeous. But I never I have so much like, I have shame about the hair that I have on, you know, my chin and from my PCOS and, you know, all that. And it's like, I'm going to start following her so that normalizes for me. And that doesn't feel so uncomfortable. And all those kind of things started to just kind of click into place. And I noticed that the more I surrounded myself with accounts of people that didn't look like me and didn't do the same things that I did, really opened up my eyes to, wow, I've really been sold this message that that is not what I'm supposed to be and do, but it's way more fun over here. Like,
hell yeah. No doubt. Absolutely. It's also good for your mental health to fill your feed with positive shit and get rid of the diet crap and all the people who are counting their fucking macros and their carbs and their keto, and just get that shit out of your feed.
Yeah.
It's not interesting. Like, I don't want to hear about your diet. Do you want to hear about my bowel movements? I mean, like, it's so boring. Nobody fucking cares about your diet or your workout plan. Go do whatever you want to do. Go keto, go work out. but you're not superior to anybody else because you do all those things. And I don't know. I want me to tell you about my stock portfolio. Like, could it be any more boring than talking about diet shit?
Yeah. And I don't understand, the shame with the dieting. Obviously that really makes sense, right? So if it's a violation of social norms, then
Oh,
yeah. Another thing that I found out is that women are quicker to feel shame than men. No surprise there, right?
Nope.
I know I read that and I was like, well, that makes sense.
Shocking.
But then I also read that adolescents are far more likely to feel shame more intensely. And when I thought about that, I was like, well, it makes sense because it's the developing brain, right? And so you're going through certain stages, at certain times in your life and really trying to figure out your identity and who you are. And so when you have messages that you shouldn't be those things or you shouldn't do those things, and then maybe that's what you want to be or that's what you want to do. Well, yeah, that makes sense that it would really impact you a lot more.
Yeah.
Shame can lead to things like major depression,
self-harm,
low self-esteem,
bad decisions if you have low self-esteem,
impulsive, poor decision. Yep. And so the more that you recognize your thoughts and feelings around whatever it is that you're internalizing, the better off you're going to be in being able to challenge those thoughts and feelings about shame.
Absolutely. And there's so many amazing people to follow that are doing this kind of work all the time, and it's always in their feed, and it's so uplifting to me. And it's black, trans, queer, brown, Asian, old, young. Oh, it's so amazingly inspirational and just fucking real and authentic and beautiful.
Absolutely. So when I think about that email that she sent, and should I admit that I'm fat? Yeah, honey, you're fat. Like, I own it and feel good about it and challenge the social norm or the thought and feeling, the action of it. If you feel like you have to hide yourself from some other person, you're never going to be open and honest with that person because they're never going to know the true you.
Yep. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be with somebody who judges a person by their body shape.
Yeah.
So already if I feel like that person might judge me that way, I wouldn't be interested. I would tap out at that point you gotta be 100% honest. I'll take you down a little story that I was dating about 7 or 8 years ago. My partner and I took we call it a reboot, and about 3.5 months. And I was like, look, I'm going to start dating. And I was like on eHarmony and Match and all of it, right? And I went on like 7 first dates and 3 second dates and like 2 third dates and 1 fourth date. And I was like, put the fattest, ugliest pictures of myself on the thing. I was like, you know what? I'm so much cuter than this. So I'm going to put this ugly picture, and unflattering, I'm saying with air quotes, unflattering to who? And to my brain, it was unflattering. But I'm like, and I would say, look, I'm fat. If you don't know about sizing, here's the sizing I wear, like size 28, 30. If you know anything about women's clothing, I take up a lot of space, no matter how much black I wear. And I like a lot of sex. However, I'm very difficult to get into bed. So just because I say I like a lot of sex doesn't mean I'm going to have sex with you. So knowing all that, if you still want to go out with me, knowing I'm never going to give your penis any attention for a long, long time, it takes a long time. Then once it's happening, it's on. When it's on, it is on. But it's really difficult to get me in bed. So then you can decide to answer or not. And if you think I'm too fat for you, okay, bye. It was so fun. It was so liberating.
Yeah,
everybody knew exactly who they were getting, right? I was like 13 points long because I'm a overshare, and I write long emails, and so I wrote a long profile, and I'm like, yep, I'm putting it all out there because I don't really give a shit. If you're not into me, then don't invite me out. I'm probably not into you either. I'm not into judgy people, and I don't have very much shame. I never have. I don't know why. I'm glad I don't. But I definitely used to have the internalized fat phobia a little bit, and I've gotten way over it because, I'm just being, like all of us, we're being sold something.
I love that you said, like, you just were like, I just fucking put it out there. And yeah, that's exactly like, if I was dating right now, that's exactly what I'd be doing.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
we're
I waste
not,
it. I don't have time to waste. I'm 54, or at the time I was like 45. Let's get to this, you know? I'm
yep.
not playing any fucking games. This is me. I don't play games anyway, but you know, at least I try really hard not to. I'd rather just be very authentic and practice radical honesty. And sometimes it hurts, but I'd rather have the truth, you know? But yeah, I hope she can figure it out. I'm sure there's somebody out there for her for sure. Probably
Absolutely.
thousands of people, right?
Absolutely. Well, and there's so much that has to be looked at internally too. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
you're asking that question, I'd really encourage you to go to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and talk about this with your therapist, because this is a pivotal part of you as a person. And if you're feeling like you have to hide who you are, catfish someone into liking you, then that tells me that you don't feel good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would suggest, the best option for you right now is just to focus on you
Yeah.
and explore liking you, because that's how you start to break down a lot of the internalized stuff, is really recognizing who you are and what you want out of life. Not, I'm going to just put up my cute face and here, oh, it's such a pretty face. It's like, oh, you don't see my double chin. Oh, boom, there it is. Blah, 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 blah. For those of you who can't see us, we're like Jabba the Hutt right now. Like,
Watch us on YouTube. You can see my triple chin.
Yeah, triple chin. But, it's like that. The person who is going to want to spend time with you is going to love that about you, and
Absolutely.
not have anything to worry about with, oh, you're catfishing me. You're giving
Yeah.
me a raw deal here.
Back in the days when I would read like Cosmo and all those ridiculous magazines, and they would tell you, tips and tricks for loving your fat tummy or whatever, I would read all that crap. And I read this one thing, and I know it sounds so trite now, but it just suggested, like, if you don't love your entire body, just focus on a few things that you love, right? And then every time you look at yourself, say, I have the cutest lips, or I have really cute toes, whatever stupid thing it is. For me, it was just those little things. And I was like, yeah, I'm a really good person, and I'm not a shithead. I try not to be an asshole, and I have really cute toes and cute lips and whatever. And I mean, that sounds stupid, but it did kind of help me to start focusing on the things that I did like.
Yep.
And it worked. It was cheesy, but it worked.
And I encourage that all the time in
Yeah.
treatment with folks. I always say, even if you can't, because I've had people say, I can't find anything that I like. Okay, then what can you be neutral about?
Mm-hmm.
What can you say, this part of my body I'm okay with? I don't have to like it, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And if that's where you need to start, that's okay. You
Yeah.
can start with just being, I'm neutral about, the shape of my nose, or I'm neutral about my earlobes. Though that may seem silly, but as you build upon that and get from neutral to, well, I kind of appreciate the little smirk that I get on that one side, or, whatever it may be, you start to then develop those more positive mindset. You start to see those things in other people. You start to recognize it in yourself.
I love it. Yeah.
And then it just,
when you go out and you see a fat girl in the wild, aren't you just like, girl, I see you.
yes.
I love your, I mean, you're not talking maybe, but you just make eye contact with her and you're just like, yeah, I see you. I'm like, look how cute all these fat girls are. Why am I ripping on myself all the time? Like, she's the same size as me. And I was like, she is flipping beautiful. Yep. So I was like, well, I need to stop this being internal mean girl to myself and start I've always appreciated all the fat people that I see when I'm out, because I feel like, okay, maybe I have an ally here somewhere,
Yeah.
Especially when you go somewhere where you're like the fattest person in the room, which, happens to me quite often, but I don't mind. I don't mind it I don't care anymore. But yeah, I love seeing other fatties out there doing their thing with their cute outfits, or whatever, their cute hair, or whatever, their big booty. I love to appreciate them. I try to really make a conscious effort in doing that. And the big guys too.
Absolutely. Well, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason I loved your curvy girl fashion shows
Yeah.
because, oh my God, it was just a room full of women who appreciated each other's bodies.
Yeah.
And there were small fats and mid fats and large fats and
Mm-hmm.
infinifats. And I
Mm-hmm.
just was like, oh my God, I love this so much.
So fun.
There's so much like camaraderie and
Yeah.
understanding. And, I don't know. I think it really just starts to dispel a lot of that. Yeah, the layers and layers of bullshit that have been sold to us as
Oh, so much.
standardization.
Absolutely. I need to cough. Thank you. Okay.
Not a problem. Yeah. So one of the things, I was thinking with that email was, how do you start to like your body? How do you start to, we talked a little bit about that, but how do you do that in a sexy way?
Mm-hmm. When I had the boutique, well, for me personally, I started thinking about all the things my body can do for me. Can hug my partner, can hug my friends, can hug my customers. My legs can walk me to get myself some tacos, those little things. And also, I used to have this challenge. I used to call it the Curvy Girl Challenge, the 21-day challenge. Masturbate for 21 days in a row. Do it, like put it on your calendar. And you start to fall in love with all the things your body can do. And guess what? Our bodies can do everything a thin person can do. And when you have a lot of orgasms, it gets those endorphins going, and you kind of start to fall in love with yourself, like what your body can do for you, like give you a climax potentially. Or even if you don't have a climax, it just feels really, really good, and just take some time out for yourself and masturbate 21 days in a row. Turn that into a new habit. They say it takes 21 days to create a new habit. And when you start to, kind of settle down and think deeply about these things your bodies can do, it does give you a lot of appreciation for your own body.
Yeah. And it starts to get you to know your body and what you like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's something where we have decades of shame, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
culture,
Mm-hmm.
we have created a social norm of women not supposed to know, see, or look at, or I mean, I can't even think of all the things. You're not supposed to do anything as a woman, right? And we're going back into the
No.
Stone Age with all of that. But that's where we start, right? Is like these feelings of like, oh, it's impure for a woman to touch herself. It's
You
shameful,
whore.
right? You're a whore. You're
Mm-hmm.
loose. You're a slut. All these terms are just kind of mashed together with this just feeling of like sickness. And
Yeah.
when you start to strip that away and actually look at it, it's for control. It's
Oh,
to
yes, completely.
control. Yeah. Go ahead. You were
Yeah.
going to say.
A lot of people, I was going to say, a lot of people, as we know, are very afraid of women and women's bodies. Clearly, we can see that by this Roe v. Wade bullshit. They want to control our bodies. They still do. Yeah, you're right. It's Stone Age shit. It's handmaiden shit and all that other stuff, but it's happening. And
Right.
they want to control our bodies. And yeah, you're a big whore if you're masturbating, or if you enjoy sex, or you enjoy a lot of partners. You're a big slut. You never hear this shit about men. They get to do whatever the hell they want to do, and
Right.
nobody judges them. But we're always judged, and we're taught to be polite and be kind and be small and be quiet. Don't take up too much space. You know, just I hate it all, and it does create a lot of shame around sex, of
Yep.
course. So there's shame about our bodies, there's shame about sex, shame about our sex organs. It's
Shame
all
about what
natural.
we eat. Shame about how much we
Mm-hmm.
move. Shame about,
Mm-hmm.
it just, that's, I think, the most liberating thing has been to really reduce the amount of shame in your life. Like, if
Yes,
you have the power to start reducing the amount of shame in your life, you have so much more control
you do.
over how you feel out in the community, how you
Mm-hmm.
feel with your partner, how you feel at your job, all those kind of things, because you start to feel more empowered. If we're talking about shame being internalized, you have the power then to change that. You
True.
you are the one that has the ability to think differently, to challenge it, to enact change. But it means really looking inward and having to address the fact that this is something I don't like. and I won't accept.
What did my therapist used to say all the time? It's an inside job.
It's an inside
So,
job.
yes, damn it. Personal growth. It's an inside job. Whatever. Oh yeah, I'm paying you. Okay, yeah, okay. Let me take this advice now. It's so
Right.
crazy too how when we were talking about shame, for this episode and stuff, I was thinking about the fat shaming that we all receive. But do you remember in 2018 when I hate to use that word crazy. I'm trying to stop using that word. It's very ableist. But that very intense woman who used to be on Fox News, she said she liked to be fat shamed because that's how she stayed thin. I was like, Megan Kelly, I think was her name. I know. I think, first of all, Fox News had definitely made her brain mushy. But she wanted people to tell her how fat she looked so she would stay on restricting and on her diet or whatever.
Right.
Welcome to 2018 or 2019. Like, Megan, it's not 1550 anymore. We're not doing that anymore. We're not encouraging it for sure.
Right.
She's encouraging it. And she has a national platform. Good job. That's what young women need to hear.
Right. Well, and that just goes to show, like, I mean, the Fox News just in general, but you're talking about utilizing it to control your thoughts. That's literally what she's saying. I use this to control my thoughts. I use the shame to control how I feel internally, which tells me as a therapist, you have so little self-control that you are so reliant on what other people think about you that you're willing to jeopardize your mental health to keep yourself in line.
It blew my mind when she came out with that.
Yeah, that's just so sickening and so sad. I mean,
so sad.
I think about how much of my life I spent on diet shame and fat shame and just all of that. And thankfully, I really got over the sex shame hella early. And I think that's, I know actually, I know that's because that was the first place I jumped in education wise, was about sex, learning about sex, learning about bodies, learning about all of that. And that really started to just peel away layers of shame. But the fat phobia and the diet stuff, man, that's so entrenched.
It's so difficult.
Daily. The messaging that we get daily is don't be fat. Don't eat that. Don't enjoy that.
Oh, hell no.
Don't touch that. Don't look at that.
Right.
It's all these don'ts, and you're just like, guilt and shame, just like dancing around in your head. It's either the action or this internalized thing, and it's just like bouncing around. And I think it stems into so many other issues. When I think, I don't want to get into like a long, go way, way back and, start piecing this apart, but I think it really does when you start to examine how much shame impacts your life and your choices. You start to recognize how little of control that you think that you thought you had over those situations.
I always am so blown away when people are so afraid and so ashamed of their sexuality. They're like, sometimes some people have more desire than others. Some people we'll just say it. Some people are hornier than others. And people are ashamed about it. And then they're also ashamed by the act itself. And then they're ashamed of their sexual organs. But we all got here exactly the same way. Our parents had sex. I know nobody else think about that, but like, it couldn't be any more natural to masturbate and to have sex with another human or yourself. But people are ashamed of it. It's like, are you ashamed that your eyes are brown? Like, are you ashamed that you drink water? I mean, where does that come from in people? I don't know how I got to be this way where I'm not ashamed of sex or my own sexuality. I'm grateful for my parents or my community that helped me raise me that way. But I see it in so many of my friends and my customers. And I'm like, why? Where did that come from? It's too much. But I mean, if you watch TV and the media, everything is so sexualized. So then why are we ashamed of it?
Right. Well, I think that's where the guilt comes into play too, where, you're shamed because you're told this is not something you should be thinking about or doing or
Right.
whatever. And then the guilt of doing whatever it is, then it's like, oh, you're such a terrible person because you actually followed through and did whatever it was. So now not only do you feel shame, but I'm going to make you feel guilty about that shame.
Look, I have no shame when it comes to my sexuality. And as far as you, as long as you leave kids, animals, and your family out of it, get down with your bad self. Do it. Have fun. Try it all. There's no shame to be had. There's nothing to be ashamed of as long as you leave kids, animals, and your family out of it. Otherwise, have at it, right? Just go for it. Why
Yeah.
not? Try it all once or twice.
Well, yeah, and examine it. If your automatic thought is, well, I can't,
Right.
then why can't you? And start addressing the why. Start looking deeper than just, oh, I can't do that. I love it when people come up to me and like, oh, Merf, you're so confident. I can't do that. And I'm like, no, that's shame, honey. You can do that.
Yes.
You really can.
That question.
You expand your mind, you can.
Yeah, everybody can. I try so hard to. I'm sorry.
Exactly. How do you sit there and just like, okay, now we're going to talk about all the ways in which you have to address this and look at yourself and now deal with it's hard work. So it's so much easier to just be like, yeah, I'm going to lean into the guilt and shame and just berate myself for it.
Self-flagellation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get so tired of that question. I mean, I know most people have, they mean well when they ask me that, where'd you get your confidence? But nobody asks, what is it? Gabrielle Sibidet, she said, nobody asked Halle Berry where she got her confidence.
Yep.
Because she got sick of that question, The fuck? Gabrielle Sibidet. Hello. That woman she should have all the confidence in the world. She's beautiful. She's talented. She's charming. She's funny. And she's amazing. But people want to know why she's so confident because of her fatness. That's fucking disgusting to ask somebody that. But I know you get asked that a lot. I get asked that a lot. And I know most people just want a piece of it. They want to figure it out. But it's really kind of rude. It's really a backhanded compliment. It's like saying, oh, you have such a pretty face. Well, fuck you.
Right. Right.
I'm pretty everywhere, okay?
You're so confident when society has told you that you are supposed to be ashamed that you're even alive because you're so fat. Oh, because society told me I'm supposed to be ashamed. There's your first right there. I don't owe anything to society.
Nothing pisses people off more than a fat, happy person that has stopped dieting.
Yep.
People that are still dieting, and I'm talking about friends and family of mine, I can tell it really pisses them off.
Oh, they hate it.
They get so mad. And if you're successful,
yeah. Or the people that like work out religiously to the point where it's like that's all they do with their life. And I get it. Whatever. That's your life. Live your life. That's fine. But don't expect me to do that too. And because I'm not coming around you and saying, hey, why don't you just chill out and we don't have to do shit. We can just do, whatever. I'm not doing that. So, I just don't get it. I don't understand how people like, I'm trying to live society's norms. I'm trying to be healthy and I'm trying to be fit and I'm trying to be perfect. And it's like, cool. Enjoy how that works out for you.
Have fun. Enjoy yourselves. Yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of superiority feelings that they seem to have. I've noticed that they think they're somehow better than all of us. But yeah, it really makes people angry because, we are disrupting society. We're disrupting the norm. We're the shit disturbers, and they get very confused because it's easier to conform. It's easier to, some people apparently like to diet because it gives them a sense of control. I don't know a lot about eating disorders and things like that, but I definitely know a lot of people that they restrict a lot, and I don't know what their deal is, but I guess it helps them feel like they're in control of some part of their life. And maybe all the rest of their life is out of control, but when they're dieting or they're restricting, it makes them feel like some sense of control, apparently. I don't get it, but an exercise thing too, right? It gives them feeling of control, and it pisses them off really bad when we're fat and we go out to eat and we're just enjoying our lives and eating our donuts. Like, I'm not trying to glorify obesity, but if I can, I mean, sure. But it's not like I'm dragging people to have a donut,
Right.
just living my life happily.
I'm literally just eating fettuccine. Leave me alone.
Yes, right.
Like, that's all I'm doing. We're at the same Olive Garden, bitch. Look at it. We're eating the same dish. I'm just fatter than you are. Why is this a problem? Like, I don't get it. So,
yes.
And to speak on that, what you were saying about that, about eating disorders and the need for control, self-disclosure here, right? So, I had anorexia, when I was 10 years old, and then I relapsed when I was 16. And it was really about the control. That's what it was about. Like, I feel like I can control this. I can maintain this society's expectation of me. And I do that by restricting. I'm not going to eat anything. I'm going to imagine that I'm eating stuff to make myself feel full and drink a ton of water. And I really have permanent damage because of it, because I did it during puberty, and I messed up I changed my height, my puberty, my growth. My breasts aren't as big as they were supposed to be. They told me that. They told me that I messed up my endocrine system. Like, there was a lot of problems that arose.
10 is young.
Yeah. And it was all anxiety that I had really just it had morphed into an eating disorder, and it all became about control. And so when I go back and I think about like all those things that led up to that and what I was listening to and believing and all of that, and it's really hard to hear people say things like, just go on a diet, or, oh my God, you look so great because you've lost weight. And it's like, you have no idea what that person has done or is going through. And the amount of congratulations that come from an eating disorder, and you're achieving social norms. Yay. Asherly, you can enter clapping right there, right? Sarcastic. Because it's ridiculous. It's literally like, we don't care about your health. You're just skinny and we love it. Yay, you're following our social norms. And once you start to really strip that away and realize how much shame is behind that, it really highlights a whole different part of your life. It's like your second life begins almost.
It's great. Yeah, I know that also people don't realize that you can be fat and anorexic.
Yeah.
Because being anorexic really means you're malnourished, right? So you can still be fat and malnourished and still be anorexic and fat, but most people don't know that. And that's why, first of all, if I ever see anybody who's lost weight, the first thing I think is, oh shit, do they have cancer or something? That's where my brain goes. But I know a lot of people love to be complimented when they've lost the same 40 pounds for the 10th time. I don't see the value in that personally. I don't ever compliment people. I don't say anything about people's bodies ever. But the anorexia and all those eating disorders and disordered eating, right, is right in there with that. And I know those are usually like a family structure kind of problem. And it's complicated. It's almost like dealing with an addiction, I think, right? Like if you're addicted to a drug, well, you kind of are, I guess. Control.
Yeah, the control becomes its own thing, its own beast.
You kicked its ass.
I did, but it was, a lot of learning about, well, I've kind of messed up my body, and not like, the outside of it, but the inside of it. And I really wasn't in a good space. And I got through it. But, now that I'm on the other side of all of that, and I can really look at shame in a different light, it comes into play so much more than what we even think about. We're just talking about surface level shame.
Yeah.
Once you really get into the thick of it, and I want to say like the rabbit holes of it, like you can really get into some deep, deep stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
Because it's all about how you perceive yourself in the world, and not fitting into that world, or not feeling like, you're doing what is expected of you.
This is a random question, but sometimes I wonder, do people just not know about, like, let's say endocrine issues, PCOS, type 1 diabetes, or even type 2 diabetes? Like, I'm just thinking of all the reasons why people's weight would fluctuate. And I think when people are out and about and they say a comment about your body, I think, I could have 20 different diseases, is what's making me fat. Do people not know those exist? Because, like, would you ever say to someone, oh my God, you look terrible. You look, how's that cancer going? Like, I could have one of those 20 or 25 things wrong with me. That's why I'm fat, but you're still going to say something shitty to me? Like, do people not know? Like, or are they just fucking mean?
No, they don't know, because we've created this societal standard of lazy,
sloth.
Yeah, just all the things. And so that's now the societal standard. And so when we challenge that by saying, did you know that could be because of blah, blah, blah? Oh, well, that's just like a 1 in 125 million chance that's the reason why.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw this comedian, and I just use this on a gun nut. Some guy was commenting on my friend's page, and he was like, did you know that more people are killed by hammers every year than guns? And some comedian just recently at the NRA convention was interviewing this guy, and the guy said that to him. So this must be something that the NRA is pushing as like a stat. And so the guy goes, the comedian who's interviewing him goes, that doesn't sound accurate. And the guy's all, really? Look it up. Google it. So he's like, okay. So he just fucking Googles it right in front of the guy. And hammer was 323 people die every year from a blunt force object like a hammer. Firearms was the very first one. And so, like, and then it was knives, and then it was your hands and your fists. And then it was
hammers.
Then it was hammers. Yeah. So it was like almost the lowest on the totem pole. And the guy was like, well, I still believe in the Second Amendment. And it was like, okay, yeah, we got it. But it's the same kind of thing, right? Or it's just like somebody throws out that stat, and it's just like, that's it. That's the stat.
It's the next bumper sticker. You know it's coming.
Yeah. And they do it all the time when it comes to weight.
Yeah, it's big time. They just assume that we're just indulging and just, I don't know if people know more about PCOS, they'll understand. People with PCOS can gain 50 pounds, 100 pounds in a month, and not because they're eating anything good. Yep. It's just their system, their endocrine, and it's just the hormones, and it's also people have insulin resistance, which often comes with PCOS. They can't lose like a normal person. You can lose a pound a week or whatever. People with insulin resistance and PCOS can't. So maybe just shut the fuck up and stop commenting on people's weight and their body, because you have no idea what's going on with them. Zero.
Yep. You have no clue what's going on in somebody else's life.
You cannot tell someone's
at the moment that you're interacting with them.
You don't know if somebody's healthy or not. You think you can look at a body and know their health. Okay, fit mom.
Right.
Can't do it. Yeah. All you can tell is how fucking fat phobic you are.
Exactly. I had a friend, I still have her as a friend. She's like the ideal Western standard of beauty, right? She's like 5'9", 120 pounds, maybe, fake boobs, like just gorgeous, blonde hair, blue eyes, just super white, everything about her, just ta-da. She went to so many different doctors and kept saying, I feel like something here in my neck is just not right. Like it kind of bothers me. It feels like there's a lump. No. You go running, honey. You're great. Look at you. You're so thin. Everything's so wonderful. 3 years she did that. Finally, she said to the last doctor, can you just like ultrasound and just see, like, do I have like a nodule or something? Fucking cancer. Full-blown thyroid cancer. And they wouldn't even look at her because their idealized idea of health was what she looked like on the outside. And she was in stage 3, and she was only 26 years old.
Oh my God. It's like the reverse of medical fat phobia.
Yep.
Wow. Shit.
Unbelievable.
Damn. Because I know a lot of fat people die because of medical fat phobia. Maybe thin people do too.
Well, and I think that goes to show that whole concept of like, you are living this societal idea of healthy, right? Beautiful, healthy, skinny, fit, you go for runs, you do all, It does not matter. You have no idea what is going on in somebody else's body. They could have fucking cancer growing.
God damn. Oh, talk
about
amazes me. Bullshit. Oh man, she's okay now though?
Yeah, she's okay. She had to have her thyroid completely removed and go
Oh,
through
shit. That fucks everything up, right?
chemo. But yeah. Oh yeah. She,
Jeez.
your whole immune system shot when you have to go through all that stuff. She's
Yeah.
better now, but yeah, it was just,
Good.
she hadn't forced it, she would have died. She would have
I
had
mean,
stage 4.
we say this all the time. You have to be your own advocate when you go to the doctor,
Yep.
and you have to. Unfortunately, when you're fat and also thin, you really have to just don't let it go.
Yep.
You know what's right with you, what's wrong with you. If you feel odd or different or something feels strange, push it, push it, push it. I know I have Kaiser. I have to really stay with them. Like, just try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. Otherwise, they'll just be like, oh, well, but I have to, if I push it, then they will give it to me. But you
Yep.
really have to, fortunately, I have found my voice. I'm comfortable using it. I know not everybody is. And in those cases, I do suggest if you haven't found your voice and you're fat and you're going to the doctor, bring a friend. They're way less fucking mean if you have someone with you to witness it. I promise you.
Yep. That's
So,
exactly it.
well,
You
I'm glad
have
your
to
friend is
advocate
okay.
for yourself. Yeah, me too. Thank you. And it was a big eye-opening moment for me too, because I had that feeling too of like, well, you're so cute and you
What
just
could be wrong with
run.
you?
And yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, yeah, you should get it looked at. But I wasn't invested the same way of, because I was believing this hype of, well, yeah, she's everything what, she's textbook
Sure.
ideal. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was like, nah,
Yeah.
nothing ever happens to those people. Like,
Right.
what?
Right. Yeah.
But that's where you have to really start to dig in and start to
Mm-hmm.
recognize, this whole thing that we've been sold of conform, is detrimental to you, your
It
mental health,
is.
your physical health, all of it,
Absolutely.
sexual health.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Challenge it,
Just
challenge your
challenge it
thoughts.
all. That's what I learned in high school was anything that you think seems like it is common knowledge, question it. It's not
Yep.
always actually true, and question everything. And I try, I get lazy, but sometimes I try to question everything. Why do I believe that? Why do I think that? Where did that come from? I'm like, how did I start to have this belief? And it's, a lot of internal work, but you can undo a lot by looking at it. And then once you realize it is just capitalism and Western media, excuse me, Western beauty ideal. It's not that beautiful. I mean, of course it is, but it's like 1% of the things out there that are beautiful. I mean, there's so many. Yeah. Anyway, that was a great talk. Good
Yeah.
stuff, Merf. I love it. I hope
I
people,
think it's important. I hope it
yeah,
resonates with people.
I do too. It's so nice how we've been getting a lot of feedback recently, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we share that review that we got?
Yeah. Do you have it or do you want me to find it?
And I can bring it up because we
Okay.
got just the best review
I know
on,
we've gotten some good ones recently. It's,
yeah.
I know we say this a lot, and if you're new to listening to us, we do this because we just want to help one person. Maybe we'll be that like voice for that one fat person that needed to hear us, and like that's enough for us. It would be nice if the show paid for itself too, or we made money one day from it. That would be lovely. But
Be
like,
great.
never in my goal for doing this. I want to
Yep.
be like, for me, when I was little, I found that BBW magazine at Lane Bryant and it changed my life. Like, I want to be like that BBW magazine for somebody else and be like, oh shit, I can be promiscuous if I want, even though I'm fat, like, hell yeah, you can. You can do whatever you want. And that's all we want. And so when we get feedback, it's so nice. It's like, oh, we're doing what we wanted to do.
When we got this review, I almost started crying because I was just like,
I
that's
was
what we
there
need.
too. I was verklempt. I was like, oh, I'm going to cry. Because,
Right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is from Celeste on June 2nd. She wrote, and we don't know Celeste. None of it, no
No.
one on the show knows Celeste. She gave us a 5-star review, and she says, how to live, laugh, and love big and sexy. Caught this on Facebook, and OMG, I got more info about me as a plus-size woman, about porn, and different ways we're making the world a better place, more inclusive. You will learn a lot here and laugh. Take notes. They've got awesome pointers. Love seeing big, sexy women in a podcast and in the world of sex. We are fat people who have sex, and we are sexy. Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, oh man. When I read that, I was like, fuck yeah. That's what I
Right?
want. Like, fist in the air. Like, woo.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. Yes.
just, yeah, that fuels me, man. Like, if we can, and sorry, I shouldn't say man, but
I know.
that's me. But if, if that's something that we can make happen for other people, or just, turn the light bulb on. And that's really what I wanted from the shame discussion, was just turn the light bulb on, folks. Like, start critically looking at yourselves and where you got those concepts and those ideas, and what does it serve you? And so, yeah, that was awesome getting that kind of feedback.
Thank you, Celeste, wherever you are, whoever you are. You made us cry. You were very thoughtful, and thank you. And also, it helps us. It helps our podcast to be seen by more people when people write us reviews. Hint, hint.
Nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. Giggle, giggle. Yeah, they're so lovely too. And then, we're happy that we have a new friend in Celeste. So thank you, Celeste. That was amazing. Welcome to our community, Celeste.
Yes.
Lots of rad fatties here. Annette, we have a new TikTok. Speaking of rad fatties.
Say it again.
Speaking of rad fatties, we have a new TikTok.
Yes.
We tried to create a TikTok under our name, BigSexyChat, but TikTok does not like the word sex or sexy. So our lovely Katie created a new TikTok for us, 2 rad fatties. So the number 2, rad, R-A-D, fatties. And yes, thank you, Merf, for the idea. And thank you for Katie for making it happen. She just started talking. What's the verb? Is it talking? TikToking?
Yeah, TikToking.
Yesterday. And she got us going and created a second page for us. So now we can be found, because before we couldn't be found. So we're going to have Katie help us out with the TikTok, because she's young and fat and adorable and funny. And I'm so excited to be working with her. And yeah, I'm sure she's gonna help us all to get rid of some of this bullshit shame.
Yeah, she was so cute in the
adorable
discussion of the show, and I was just like, this is gonna be so much fun. She's got that inviting smile. And
she does, yes, she's so cute.
Great. So that's the number 2 rad fatties on TikTok.
Yep.
So do we get to do the vibe of the week?
Let's do the vibe of the week. Let's wrap it up with the vibe of the week. You can't skip the vibe of the week. And unfortunately, I don't have this particular vibrator on my website, blissconnection.com, but they sell it directly to consumers, so you can buy it directly from them. Is that right, Merf?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I found that they, so I think they're like an overseas company. I don't know, but it was difficult to find them online, because I found this at my local sex shop. So that's my thing. If you're not going to buy it from Crystal, because that's the number 1, if you're not going to buy it from blissconnection.com, support your local sex shop, because
absolutely,
they need the money. Help them out, help them get more product in. So there's been a sex shop in town here for a really long time. It used to be a video rental place. Kiddos, that means it was like Netflix, but you had to go and actually get the disc and take it home.
The disc? You're talking about the videotape.
And the videotape, yeah. It was a videotape. So I went into this old video store, which is now a sex shop, because they made the most money off of renting porn. Smart, right? And became a full-fledged sex shop. Love them. And I said, I'm looking for a new vibrator. I have a Shibari wand. I like it, but I need something more powerful. And she goes, oh, I know exactly what you want. And I was like, okay. So I'm a connoisseur.
I know you are. You're a sex toy snob like me.
Yes, I'm a snob. So I was like, okay, but
sure.
So she takes me over to the little area, and it's just like kind of hidden in the corner. And she's like, try this. And she hands me this vibrator. And if you're watching this, you'll see what it looks like.
Angle, yeah.
Yes. So it's got like a little kind of like lowercase L shape, right? So she's like, I don't know what it is, but this Palm Power Extreme, that's the name of the brand, just has like a really deep rumble.
I love rumble.
Oh, okay. So then she turns it on. I'm going to turn it on. So that's the low setting.
Wow.
It has 3 sets of rumbles before it gets into actual, there's the second, there's the third.
Hello.
It's not touching the microphone. It's pretty far away from the microphone.
Yeah.
So it has 7 different rotations that it can go through.
Nice.
And I'll like start low, go medium, thirds when I'm coming. Amazing.
Give yourself some foreplay, Merf.
Oh man, I can come with this thing in like 30 seconds. Because it's just that deep rumble. And
when you get the rumble, you get that sensation like all the way inside of your body. It's like, to me, it feels like the orgasm is starting somewhere inside and then moving out, as opposed to where the other toys feel like it starts at my clit and moves in. That one, those rumbles, oh, I love the rumbly toys. And I notice it's cordless too.
It is. It's cordless. And that's the reason. It's very similar to like the strength of the Hitachi. So it has that, like, it feels like it's got bass behind it, but it's lighter and it doesn't have the cord. So you can detach it. It's a USB rechargeable cord. It's water resistant. It selling like is like $100. So, you know, it has a little attachment so that you can stick on the top of the wand.
Like a G-spot?
And it's silicone, hospital grade silicone. So, you know, it's very nice quality.
Durable.
Yeah, it's durable. It's, you know, easy to clean, all that fun stuff. But I guess that they were really popular as the power bullet. And so then the bullet became the wand. So I'm hearing a lot of people, when I started looking it up to kind of get more information of, you know, to give out on the podcast, people were talking about the bullet and how the bullet was so good. So I haven't tried the bullet, but I love this because I have little arms. It's got that angle that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's really lightweight. It's also got the silicone on the back so you can grip it
easy to hang on to.
Easier, which is really nice. But yeah, that is my absolute favorite toy. That is my go-to toy. I really encourage you that if you like, I always think of that song from the 80s of, we like the boys that go, what, you know?
Yeah.
With the bass, you know, like,
yes.
It's got some bass.
Yeah, I like bass in my sex toys. And also, it looks small enough to be able to use with a partner too. So you could probably slide between the two of you, or
really
your partner
great
could hold on to.
Doggy style.
Yeah. A lot of times, and for those of you who are new to listening to us, a lot of times fat women, or let's say fat clitoris owners, we often have shorter arms sometimes. And then sometimes for me, I have a large lower tummy. So we have to have some length. It makes it easier to reach our clitoris as opposed to, you know, when you have like a little bullet that's just like that long, that little, you can't really, it's hard to navigate. So I love that has that nice reach to it.
Yeah. And I love it. The head kind of moves around a little bit. Like it's, you know, so it's, and that's what I've found is I have the same thing. I have little T-Rex arms and I got big belly. And so when I'm trying to like, get it like in between my legs and get exactly where I want it, it's nice that, okay, this is like probably 8 inches, you know, in length of the actual like length for holding on to.
Love it.
But it's just like, it's perfect for getting that curved around the big part of my belly to reach my clit. So that's my thing. I encourage you. Yeah, exactly. I encourage you to, if you are one of the people that likes the cars that go boom, this is the one.
It sounds like I need to get one.
Yeah.
Stat. And I do like your idea too. First of all, I love supporting all independent business owners, and I love I like to shop small every time I can. And good Lord, we all know after the year of the being closed down, people like your local sex toy stores could really use your support. And a lot of them are closing, sadly. And if you can support yours, the coolest thing about sex toy stores is that the people that work there, they know their shit. They're great educators. You don't ever have to be ashamed. Shame again comes up. Some people won't go to a sex toy store because they're ashamed. Like, they work at a sex toy store. Why are you ashamed? Like, you're not going to the convent to buy a sex toy store. You're going to an actual sex toy store. They know about people putting stuff in their butt. They're cool with it. Don't worry. So
They make good money selling that stuff.
hell to the yes, they do.
Yeah.
But keep them alive and keep them thriving, because they're all you have for sex educators when you're an adult, and they know their shit.
And this lady, she's my fairy godmother, the one who pointed to this one. I literally went back in after I had used it, and I was like, you recommended a sex toy to me, and I just want to tell you that it changed my life, and I adore you now forever. And if you need anything, I will give you my kidney or my child, whatever. It was just she's just like, luckily I've known her for a very long time, her and her family. So she was just like, oh, no problem, girl. But I was just like, you don't understand.
Yeah. I've had people tell me that before too. They're like, oh, I love you so much. I'm like, I love you too. Do you ever run into her in the wild? Sometimes that's always awkward when I run into people. They're like, she knows I bought a butt plug.
Right.
I promise I don't remember. There's no way in hell. What girl? How's that butt plug? Do you like it? Is it working for you?
Yeah.
Hey, look at your kitty.
I know. My kitty, if you heard that scratching sound, that was my cat jumping up my chair. She's mad because it's treat time, and she is like, where are you? Why aren't you giving me treats?
If you heard snapping earlier and you weren't sure what it was, I was snapping instead of clapping, because that's what the cool kids do. What's your kitty's name?
This is Ray, named after Ray Star Wars.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, we got her right when that came out, and she's really struggling right now.
Well, I think we're about ready to wrap it up anyway, aren't we?
I think we're good. Oh man, but yeah, I encourage everyone to address your shame.
Yeah.
Get yourself a good sex toy, one that you really enjoy. Give yourself some self-care, and encourage other people to look a little bit more critically at themselves too.
And I believe more masturbation can help bring everybody's rage down a few notches. So everybody take the Curvy Girl Challenge. Go and masturbate for 21 days in a row. We'll see if we can bring some more peace to this world, because Lord knows it's a shit show right now. So
yeah. Take care of you.
Yes, that's right. Take care of you. You're the most important thing you own, right? Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Merf. Thanks for being a part of our community. Of course, we always love it when you like, subscribe, and review, like Celeste and Sydney and all the other lovely people that have left us reviews. I will see you later, alligator.
Well, after a while, crocodile.